toenails and blistered heels, salt stains streaking down my face. Sun is beating, muscles scream, but I'm moving at my pace. Run the riot! Leave the world behind! Run the riot! You free your body and your mind!
All right, today on the Run the Riot podcast, we got Run the Riot athlete Jen Johnson. What's up?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We were just laughing before I hit record over stuff. We'll talk about it, I guess, during the podcast. But you are a week out from running your first 100-miler. So, like, we were just like, when I asked you how you feel, you said good and weird. So, what'd you mean by that?
I feel like my recovery was like delayed, or like I feel like I didn't really start like the hardcore crash until Wednesday.
Really?
Monday and Tuesday, I was just, I don't know if I was like still on an adrenaline rush or what, but like Monday, I woke up at like 1 a.m., like couldn't go back to sleep. Tuesday, I woke up at like 3 a.m., couldn't go back to sleep. And I like made it through the days, but then something about Wednesday, I just couldn't do it anymore. I crashed.
You couldn't even?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of weird because I expected that more like Monday, Tuesday. And then ever since Wednesday, it's been kind of like gradually getting back to normal, I guess, as far as sleep.
Yeah, that I mean, usually I have, and everybody's a little bit different. Some people just crash right away and stuff, but I kind of go through the same thing after a 100-miler where, and you and I talked Monday and kind of did a debrief and stuff, and you were kind of pretty good, except your knee, we'll talk about that later. Your knee was, issues and all that. But yeah, usually sleep is just weird for a while. And then, and you just never know when it's going to, when it's going to smack you across the face. Well, we're going to get to the race, and, I want to talk about how it unfolded, and we'll talk about your training and everything else. But we got to let everybody get to know who you are. And talk a little bit about, what brought you to this lowly state of wanting to run 100-mile races. So, tell everybody like where you from originally, and how'd you, I don't know, what was your upbringing like, athletic or whatever, just kind of in a nutshell.
I grew up in Chickasha, which really isn't, I live in Weatherford right now, so I'm not that far away. I did grow up in athletics, but I grew up playing softball. That's really the only thing I did consistently from like childhood to senior year was play softball. It did kind of start my running. In middle school, I can remember like all the high school girls only talking about how much the coach made them run, and like all they did was talk about how much that they ran more than they played softball. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I better get to running.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my entrance into running. It wasn't super formal. I just wanted to work hard and start as a freshman. So it seemed like running was something that coach was going to value. So that's actually what kind of started it.
Well, did you do all the, okay, so we're a softball family here. My wife played college softball and my daughter. So like last night I was sitting there while she was doing hitting practice, and then she had practice today. My wife brought her while I was running my training. So did you do like just school ball? Did you do like travel ball stuff too, or?
And it's a lot different now than when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest of 4, so there wasn't ever like time or resources, I think, to like let everybody be fully into something. I only played like rec ball until I was old enough to drive. And then once I was old enough to drive, I was able to commute to Tuttle, which is a little town outside of Chickasha. And then I played summer ball with them. So that was
nice.
Kind of, I did play like on local teams in Chickasha, but once I could drive, I got to play on a competitive team that was a little bit, that we traveled quite a bit, but I only did that for a couple of summers. As long as I could drive myself and bring myself home.
As long as you could do it yourself, you can do what you want. What position did you play?
I played second base.
Nice. Okay. All right. we got a little catcher at my house, so she's
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
Nice.
so I'm ignorant about like softball, and I was, and then now I know all the things, but I remember just like my first games and just asking questions like when it was the third strike and the catcher
That's
dropped the ball and she's
exactly what I was thinking you were gonna say.
why is she running? She's out. And so everybody had to explain to me, and I was a dummy. Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense if you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so but yeah, we're all in now. So anyway, it's fun. I understand the joy and the pain of all the softball things. So yeah. So yeah, and like my wife always talks about like running was punishment, She was
Mhm.
and she she's run some races and done marathon and stuff now too, but she hated it, and she was always talking about like fussing with the coaches about having to run and all that, and yeah, I'm sure you can relate.
Thought about that irony a couple of times actually, because once I actually got to high school and played for that coach, really all my running paid off was that I didn't ever like fully feel punished. I was just like, I was usually drinking water waiting on everyone else to get back from whatever the punishment was.
Nice. So did you feel like, I know so softball was your sport, but it sounds like you kind of took to running though, like I don't know, like you just said, you were done for everybody else, and it was something. So what got you to actually start doing just the running?
Honestly, that young, I think just like the freedom of it. Um, I know I already said it, but I'm the youngest, so like there was times that all my siblings were out doing older kids stuff, and I was kind of home alone, and I was like, well, I can't drive yet, but I can go on a run. And obviously I had boundaries, like I wasn't allowed to go past so and so street or whatever. So I'd
Yeah,
have
yeah.
these little small loops that I was allowed to kind of run around the house. But I think just like that freedom it gave me of not having to stay home while everybody else was out doing whatever
Yeah.
they were doing. I don't know.
Yeah. So I got to know this. And we hadn't talked about this before. How old is your oldest sibling, and then how much older than you? Because I'm the oldest in my family, so like I don't I have a different perspective.
Yeah, my oldest sibling actually, he passed away in a car wreck, but he was 6 years older than me. And then
Okay,
we're
gotcha.
all 2 years apart. So there's one 2 years older than me, one 4 years older than me, and then he would be 6 years old.
Okay, gotcha. So everybody was still around. So you were the spoiled baby of the group, but probably not quite as bad because they still had to take care of everybody else too, right?
Yeah, everybody had to be, equally picked on.
Yeah. So my little sister, who's the youngest, there was a big gap between us and so like she was rotten. Yeah, I don't think probably weren't as rotten as my sister, but
I don't know. There were probably phases where I was because I don't. What's a big gap? Like how big of a gap?
So between me and my brother, it's 3 years, and then there was 7
Okay,
years for my sister. So it's a pretty big one.
that's
Yeah.
pretty similar because six. So like I don't know. It just was in phases. Sometimes I was annoying and I was getting beat on, and sometimes I was. I don't know. Sometimes I was spoiled. So this is well
Made you
rounded.
tough. Like that's what I like to think. We made my sister tough.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So yeah. So anyway, so you did softball, and then what got you to start like actually running races and stuff? How did that translate?
So I actually ran very like unhealthily through school, not on purpose, just like out of ignorance. I'm sure you see, I don't know, in the weight room, you're like, oh, I can bench this. So like if I'm not trying to bench more than that, then I'm not getting better type of
Mm,
mentality.
yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
did that with running. So I was to at one point I think I was running like 10 miles every day just because I was like, well, if you did it yesterday, you should be able to do it today. And I was just young and dumb, like honestly. I didn't know any better. So when I moved to Weatherford for college, I started working at the YMCA. I was a lifeguard, and they have all these fitness communities that were fun to kind of meet people in. And there was a running club, and finally somebody was, you're doing this wrong, and kind of helped me break that down. And I think at one point I had run through the tread of my shoes. Like I never looked at the bottom of my shoes. I just threw them on and went. And so that group definitely kind of like helped me figure out what running is kind of supposed to look like, more so. And then they had races, their local races around that they participated in. Obviously, they talked me into like the Oklahoma City Memorial Half, just the races that everybody goes to. I just kind of tagged along with that group.
Nice. I think a lot of people can relate when you first get into it, and pretty much anything. But you first get in, you're just like ignorance on fire, you know. Like I don't know, like you're not supposed to wear shoes when they have 1,000 miles on them, or what? You know, you're not supposed to run 10 miles a day, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't know any better. I know that there was a lot of like speculation, but I was like, no, I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah. That's funny. But it's cool. Like when you get into a group, and you know, you I don't know, you learn, people kind of take you into their wing, and like, all right, let's get you going there. So when you started running races like the Oklahoma City half marathon and stuff, where did you do like pretty well? Did you feel like you excelled in it? Like, or how did you feel about how you were doing with those?
The big races, I had no idea and I would usually run with someone. Like if I knew someone that went, and especially Oklahoma City is kind of intimidating anyway. It's like
it's big. Yeah.
Whole herd of people. So I kind of just stayed glued to like the people I knew. So I didn't really feel, I don't know. I didn't really feel like I did good or bad. I just kept up with my friends the whole time. So
yeah, that's funny because you're kind of competitive. You have that competitive. So it was kind of a different thing then for you, I guess.
Back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ran for years without ever running a race. Like I ran 8th grade to freshman in college without ever actually racing. Yeah.
Just for the love of running. So when did you sign up? What's that? Say again. I'm sorry, it overlapped.
I said, or sanity, one or the other.
Yeah. So when did you sign up for your first like full marathon? Which one was it?
My first full marathon was in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which one was that?
Oklahoma City.
I Oklahoma City?
Haven't branched out a whole lot.
Okay. Well, I know you did Boston in 2015. So I went back and looked at the notes from when you like filled out the questionnaire. And I was trying to remember some of that. And I was like, okay, just refresh my memory. And I was like, all right, so you did so in that Oklahoma City, did you qualify for Boston in that one?
Mm-hmm.
In your first one? Nice.
Yeah, I haven't run that many marathons, to be honest. Like I ran Oklahoma City, and then I qualified for Boston. I ran Boston, and then I think I just ran Oklahoma City one more time in 2019. And then I ran with you at Tulsa. That was only my 4th marathon.
I didn't even realize that. That's pretty awesome.
Well,
you found, like you wanted to do ultras and stuff. So yeah,
I don't know. I kind of still have a chip on my shoulder with the marathon though.
What's your chip on the, what's
Well, I think we have talked about this in our weekly meetings. I just it seems like I'll set a goal for myself, and I don't know where I get these times from, or where I don't know where these thoughts come from that this is what I'm capable of, but then I make up my mind and I seem to do a little bit less. I just seem to fall a little bit short of what I think I can do. So I don't know if you run Oklahoma City very often, but there was a 2.5 hour delay. So the race was supposed to start at 6, and I think it started at 8 or 8:30. And I will never ever forget the starting line, and my stomach was growling because I had eaten breakfast at 5.
Yeah.
So I fell short of my time goal. So I went to Boston thinking that would help. And I did PR at Boston, which is super hilly, but that year it poured rain the whole time. And we had a pretty gnarly headwind.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one thing after the other until I just got mad and was I'm moving on. I'm on. Yeah. So it just kind of irritated me to where I wanted to shelf it for a little bit, but I don't know.
So
I might have to go back.
You ran Boston in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized I ran Boston in 2015. I know exactly where you're talking about. It was farties and rainy and cold and miserable. afterwards I couldn't stop shaking, and I had never, I was like you, I'd never run Boston. I didn't know, what to expect and stuff. So it was fun, but like I have some pictures with my gloves on my hand, some with them off, some with one glove on one hand, like Michael Jackson or something. And then, so it was just like, because I get cold and my hands would get hot, and it was just weird.
I was just freezing the whole time.
Yeah. So I understand. That's the only time I've run it. I almost went back. I qualified and was going to go back, but I didn't because it was cost too much money. Yeah. So, yeah. So you got a chip on your shoulder, like just feeling like you could go. So is your PR at Boston?
Or was no, I ran Oklahoma City again in 2019.
Okay, and you did a 321.
321.
Nice. That's a good time. You just feel like you can.
Well, from 2014, I really thought I could run a 318, like wholeheartedly thought I could run a 318. I think the point was just that I didn't know, because I didn't know in Oklahoma City because it started so late and I was so kind of over it by that time. I think at one point they told us they were going to cancel it. So I already kind of had checked out in my head. And then Boston was just so miserable. Yeah, I think I just felt like I never got a fair shot to try until 2019. That was like probably my best shot at getting the 318. And then I ran a 321. I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need a marathon break.
Yes, yeah. So you started running other things.
Yeah.
Or did you just take a break at all?
Yeah, I wasn't running there for a while.
Okay, all right.
Do you not see that on the questionnaire?
I reread it, but it's just.
No, I'm just kidding. I did. I ran the 100K in 21.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
And then I did a 50K somewhere before that.
Yeah. And so you did a few things, and then you kind of kick back for a bit, and then you're like, I want to run 100 miles.
Actually, I did want to run 100 miles after the 100K, I was pretty certain that I was capable of running 100 miles.
Yeah.
Like when I crossed the finish line, I was like, I don't want to run anymore, but I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it a crazy thing? Like when you, like in ultras, you do this big monumental thing and you're like proud, you got it done or whatever. But then like and you're tired, like you're done. But then afterwards you're like, yeah, I could have kept going.
Yeah.
As you limp away. Yeah, I could have kept going. But what is it? What do you think it is that, like, I don't know, that there's more there, and then there's something in you that made you want to, finally, because this was 2021, and then, it took a few years, but you decided like, okay, I want to start training and I want to do 100 miles. Like what, I don't know, what was the thought process, or, like, why'd you reach out to me?
I think this is going to make me sound old, but like time just started going so fast. Like 2021 to whenever I reached out to you, I guess that's technically 2024.
Yeah, May of 20.
I don't feel like that was however many years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it just, I wanted to do that after the 100K. And then I was like, okay, you've been wanting to do this for multiple years. And I don't know, just like the acknowledgement of how much time had passed while I was wanting to do that, I guess.
That's a good lesson right there, though, because we all have like goals in life and stuff. And if you don't, they talk about writing it down or setting a date or something like that. But if you don't, it always just stays out there, and you don't get it accomplished. And so, like, I mean, what, 3 years pass by and you're like, I mean, you're still like not as young as you were 3 years.
Yeah, not in 2021.
Exactly. And so I don't know, it's like, those big goals and stuff. And like, hey, I'm talking to you right now, and like, I don't feel like I'm 50 years old. Like, what happened? How did that happen? Like, it goes by quick, And so I don't know. I want people to hear that. And like, if you have a goal or something, like set it, like, just, I don't know, set a date. And why not now start working toward it? So I guess you just decided it was time and started working toward it. And, I was, just reading through that email and stuff again, and you were, I don't know, I guess you heard the podcast and you were like, all right, I want to do it. I want to do it right. And so let's run 100 miles.
Yeah, for sure. I was telling Jake, my husband, that 100 miles was too far to like gamble. I was like, I'm not doing this just like winging it
Yeah.
because I have no idea what to do.
Yeah. So you reached out and, and we started talking and we decided that, you said that you wanted to do the Rocky Raccoon. And so, we talked about a 20-week build up, and this was kind of a neat, I don't think maybe I've done it before with somebody, but like, we talked about it and we said, all right, here's the plan where you were going to build your base up because your base was kind of
non-existent.
It was here and there. Yeah. I mean, you had done some runs. No, you had done some runs and stuff, but it wasn't consistent, I guess, at the time. And then I forgot how many, we had some time, like a few months, and then we were going to start the 20-week build up. And so your homework was to just build your base up, and I could see it in Training Peaks. You were out there doing it. And then we started training. So did you, I don't know, so you were doing the thing by yourself, building your base up, and then, I don't know, were you excited about starting to have somebody tell you what to do, or now? So let's talk a little bit about what you do right now. Tell our listeners what you do.
Yeah, I think I kind of skipped an important part of like my entry into road racing earlier when we were talking about how I started racing.
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah.
At one of there used to be a local 5K. It was called Tough Enough to Wear Pink. It was for breast cancer awareness, and it was on the campus here, Southwestern Oklahoma State. And I ran that, and I was feeling super competitive because it was like small and local, and I don't know, I didn't feel like I needed to stick with a friend or anything. And I was really, really chasing down two girls in front of me. I don't know. At the end, I learned that they were on Southwestern's cross country team. So that actually was my introduction to cross country. So I ran at SWASU for 3 years. I had already been here for a year before I started running on the cross country team. So that was a significant part of my college. Like I was all in.
Nice.
I put all my eggs in that basket. That made college a lot more enjoyable for me. But then I continued working at the YMCA after that until 6 years ago. The cross country coach had left SWASU on pretty short notice. Like it was like a week before practice was supposed to start. So I kind of hopped in. Honestly, at first I thought just to help kind of get through cross country season, because if you have like a sprint coach or a jumps coach, cross country scares them. So
yeah.
I say that, and sprints used to scare me, but
yeah.
So that is kind of how I got in the cross country scene, and that's what I'm still doing right now, is coaching cross country and track and field at Southwestern.
Nice. That's cool. That's awesome. And so, yeah. And what's cross country is it's endurance and all that. But it's different, it's, running is running, but when you're training for different things, it's just different. 100 miles is different from the cross country distances. And so anyway, so we started, and so you're used to telling runners what to do. And so I'm just curious, because were you excited about having somebody just to tell you what to do because you didn't have to think about it, your own stuff? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I know, like, I only have like so much brain capacity, I guess. So I was nervous about like giving myself the last straw. Like, I'm going to figure their workout, and then I'm going to figure their workout, and then this workout. And then if I have time, I'll figure my own workout out. So that was nice to that was like an easy way to prioritize myself without jeopardizing anyone else, I guess.
Yeah, and I can tell you, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, like even as somebody who coaches, I mean, I've had a coach before while I was coaching others, because kind of the same thing, like, all right, I know what to do, but we can have even blind spots on ourselves, and, have somebody else looking at my stuff and, hey, tell me, just tell me what to do, and I'll just go do it. It's kind of good. Well, I have to say, so we started the process, and I mean this, I'm not just saying it. You've been fun to coach because you've put in the work. Like, I'll put it on there and you would do it. And was it always fun? And were you always excited to get out there and do the workouts?
Am I supposed to answer that?
Yeah, answer that. I want to hear your answer.
I've never been so happy as when the 3 minutes went away, when I did not have to run as hard as I could for 3 minutes anymore.
You mean you didn't like intervals? Come on.
I didn't.
I know the intervals are evil, but they're good. They feel
They
evil,
serve
but
their purpose.
they serve. There you go. There you go. They serve their purpose. Well, and you said something, and I think you said it a couple of times, but your mindset was that, okay, this is gonna suck, but or something like that. I forgot how you worded it. You worded it well. Do you remember what you said?
Well, I think this is what you're thinking of. I do remember telling you that there was like in 100-mile training, there were like 0 excuses. Because I do know
Yeah.
there was some times that I was like, didn't get enough sleep or like
Mhm.
didn't feel very good. And I was like, well, you're not sick. You're just sleep deprived. So like, that's kind of the point, is to get up and run while you're tired. And it was just like, I'm very much a morning runner.
Mhm.
And if I put my run off until the afternoon or later in the day, it's more likely not to get done. And so that was another thing, like, oh, it's late in the day, but you know what? You're going to be running all day. So you might as well go do it now. So stuff like that. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but
Yeah,
I do
no,
remember
that's
having that
exactly
thought a
it.
lot.
I remember when you said it, I was like, yeah, she gets it. All right. Like that's it. She's no excuse. And really you nailed your workouts. You would do it. You would figure it out and you would get it done. And so it was fun, to look on the Training Peaks and see the green and that, cause you would just do the workouts and stuff. So would you say, what were the intervals your least favorite, of the runs, or yeah, pretty much, was it even less than the 50-mile trial?
No, I enjoyed most of the 50 miles. That was actually kind of, it had its own adversities,
Yes.
but it was kind of fun. I had a friend for each out and back.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. You didn't get tired to talk, like you didn't run out of stuff to talk about, because I was getting a new person every 10 to 12 miles. So
That's
just hanging
cool.
out with my friends,
Yeah.
having some snacks.
Having some snacks. I like it. So what was your, I don't know, I guess thinking over the whole process of training, was there ever, I don't know, you're thinking about running 100 miles. Was there ever, I don't know, a time where it just felt overwhelming, like I'm doing all this training, but it's 100 miles? I don't know. Was there doubt? You seem pretty positive most of the time, but the doubt creeps in, worry creeps in sometime. And so did you feel any of that, or did you just kind of keep trusting the process, keep moving, or what?
Yeah, I don't really remember having doubts that I would finish 100 miles. But yeah, sometimes it was like a tougher pill to swallow than other times. I don't think I'll ever forget I think it was our very first coaching call. Because when I trained for the 100K, I couldn't handle 62 miles. Like if you said 62 miles, I would kind of panic, but I could handle like 4 15-mile loops. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
in my brain, I was like, I'm going to wake up and eat breakfast and then run all day and then eat dinner and go to bed.
Yeah.
Those were ways I could handle it. And I hadn't quite like felt that concept with 100-mile. I hadn't come up with like an idea that was less scary. And then our first call, you were like, said something offhand about like, well, you're going to run 100 miles. And I was like, whoa, not today.
I'm not ready to talk about that yet. Let's just train a little while. That's good. Oh man. Well, and it was fun. Well, and you were training for Rocky Raccoon, which was it's 20-mile loops, 5 20-mile loops. And so my first 100-miler was 5 20-mile loops. And so that probably, as we were training and all, you can break it down. And that's one of the things we talked about, you just got to do the next loop. Just do the next loop and plan for the loops. And so we went through all the things. We did the training, and like I said, you were faithful to do the workouts, and you cracked me up in the calls. I don't know, the adventures of running and everything else. And then we're getting close to race day. Now, I'll be honest. One of the things that I was concerned about, and it was nothing with your training or anything with you. I was scared because everybody around here has been getting sick, and I had 3 other runners that had gone through the flu, and you hadn't got it yet. And I was thinking, when I was like, stay away from everybody, that last week, like, and I was so afraid you were gonna after all, I mean, you put in some good work. Like you had some high mileage weeks back to back, and you were tired, but you kept doing it. You kept pushing through, and I was like, man, Lord, please don't, please don't let her get sick at the end. You know, after crushing all these training weeks, and you shared with me like you were trying to do everything you could not to get sick, like I don't know what, sterilizing everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I finally, Wednesday before the race, I did break down and I called my boss and I was like, hey, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to go to my outdoor practice, but I'm also going to take my computer home because if I have to touch one more doorknob on this campus, I'm going to fall apart. So, like, please call me if you need anything, but I
Yeah,
can't stay on campus. So
that
I did finally break the week of the race just because it was everywhere.
yeah.
Everyone had the flu here.
Yeah, yeah. You just bring Lysol and spray your athletes down.
Well, outside, I feel like it's different because you can talk to someone a decent amount of space away. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I talked with Jake about crewing and everything, he's like, I told her she should have just taken a week off. It's good.
I took
So
half the week off.
you took half the week off. Well, that's good. That's good. So you're gearing up for the race. We talked through it. You know, kind of had a game plan because we you know, you practice your nutrition. You do well with nutrition. You don't have to, you know, stomach issues and stuff. So that was good. You know, we did the spreadsheet and you know, just kind of planned for the loops and everything else, and it came time to, you know, to get out there. So you guys left the Thursday, right?
We left
To
late
start heading that way
Thursday.
because it's about 7 hours, and then what was it like Friday? You texted me and you were like, there's a lot of people here. How were your nerves on the Friday with, you know, seeing all the people and getting, you know, kind of getting ready?
My nerves were a roller coaster because I remember we
Mm.
talked Monday and you're like, you're in a good headspace. And I was like, I am in a good headspace. And then Tuesday, I woke up so nervous I couldn't even eat my breakfast. So it was just kind of like a whole thing. I felt when we left Thursday afternoon, I actually felt a lot better. Just like getting out of town and like getting on the road. That I felt like at the time it kind of chilled me out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Friday, we got to the campground pretty early, like 1 maybe. And packet pickup started at 3. And we were like taking our tent down to set it up and stuff, like at the start finish line. I was like, well, while I'm here, I might as well like walk down there and get my packet. And it's all of like 3:15, and packet pickup started at 3 o'clock. And the line is like forever.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even find the end of the line. And I knew it was going to be a bigger race, but I don't know. I think at that point I maybe would have panicked about anything, but yeah, I didn't know how big it was going to be until a few weeks out. But yeah, when I couldn't like, but then the Pacers are all picking up their bibs and stuff too. So I don't think I mean, it was my
Yeah.
first one, so I don't really know enough to think about stuff like that. But the pickup line 15 minutes after packet pickup started was crazy.
Yeah. And you're like, all these people, and we have to all
It's
run on this little sidewalk. Just,
Yeah, that was another thing that got me riled because I had asked you where I should go in the chute. Like this was already something in my brain, like standing in the chute.
yeah.
I've been thinking about it, and you're like, oh yeah, just get in the middle. So I'm thinking of what the middle is going to look like to me, and then we get there, and it's like not a tiny arc by any means, but like probably the size of the Outlaw, but with way more people going to go under it. So I was just like, this is going to be like a legitimate parade. The middle is going to be like way back there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that startled me too. It was very,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was different.
How did you feel about, you know, because we went in and we talked about goals, and so, you know, this is your first 100 miler, and you know, we talked about your main goal is just to finish, you know, get it done within the cutoff. And what were your thoughts on that? Was the main goal, but we talked about some other goals. So what were your thoughts about, you know, realistically about your goals? Because we talked about a few different things, but I don't know, where was your head as far as like, this is what I'm going to try to do, or whatever? What were you thinking about that?
Thinking about this a lot this week because I like am proud of what I did, but at the same time, like I have things that I would like to try again.
It's like
So
Boston
I
all over
think
again.
Yeah, basically. But different. I feel like it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
healthy different.
Okay, good, good.
Okay, so I feel like if I were to say I had one goal going into the 100 mile, it was to like not check out, like not hit mile 75 and be like, okay, I don't care about anything other than finishing now. Does that make sense? Like, I know
Yeah, yeah,
finishing was the goal, but I wanted to be like, I guess competitive is the right word. And I remember thinking like, I hope I'm around like other girls or other people, like somebody that's going to motivate me to like be competitive at the end, because I don't know, at the end of the day, like you want to compete at the end of a race. Like, so I guess I just wanted to care. Like, I wanted to
yeah.
get to the end of the race and still care. And I think you want to talk about that, but I definitely did end up being competitive at the end. It was just in a totally different way than I kind of had envisioned.
Yeah.
But I can honestly look back and say I cared. Like, at the end of the race,
Yeah,
I did
yeah, yeah,
care. So I didn't check
yeah,
out. I didn't settle for just finishing. Definitely had some help, but I think that's probably like looking back, like that was the thing I was most worried about, was just like being like, man, this is awful. So I'm just gonna make it. I'm just gonna survive until the finish line. And I don't feel like I did that. So
good. Well, let's start to talk about the race, and then we'll pull Jake in here too. But so when you race morning, you got up, you had your plan. We talked about this is what you're gonna get up, you're gonna get dressed and eat. Was your race morning? Did everything go according to plan to get to the starting line?
to get to the starting line, yes. I remember in hindsight, I remember when I'm putting my shoes on, I felt like there was some little voice in my head trying to say something when I was putting my shoes on. And I was like, I don't know, it looks fine to me. But I'm like, I had boxed out my shoelaces of my old trail shoes and not my new ones. And so the
Yeah,
first loop, I was like, it wasn't bad enough to like affect anything, but I was like, man, I'm only around 20 miles and the top of my foot like feels kind of something. And then it dawned on me that I had like boxed out the wrong shoes. And so that
yeah,
was fun. I mean, that was just kind of like a I'm new here type thing. Um,
yeah, yeah.
but it ended up, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. But other than that, I would say everything race morning went according to plan.
Yeah, no, that's good. You know, we had talked through kind of the things, and you know, and you had a plan, and so you get there, the race start. What was your headspace like standing there waiting to go in the throng of people to parade through the arch? Like, how were you feeling? I know the weather ended up being pretty good. Yeah, were you just excited, just ready to just finally get it done, or nervous? Where were you? I want to talk to you about Magic Mind. I've been doing the Magic Mind 7-day challenge. I actually finished the 7-day challenge, and I want to tell you that this stuff has been a game changer. You've heard me before talk about how I would take it after I eat lunch, just to kind of give me focus in the afternoon, because I always get really sleepy after I eat lunch. And I've been doing it, just taking it daily from the challenge, and I just noticed so much more. I'm so much more on an even keel throughout the day. My stress level is down. My focus is up. It's been good. You know, we live in a world full of distractions, full of stress, full of all these things where people even think they have to be stressed to be a high performer. And I don't think that's true. And that's what Magic Mind was created to help get us mentally healthy and just get us through our days. Listen, it's 100% safe. All the ingredients are third-party tested. I want to encourage you just to try it. Now, listen, this is not a replacement for coffee. Thank God, because I love my coffee, but I call it a coffee enhancer. You know, it's really good. The doctors have validated all the ingredients that are in Magic Mind, and so it's a fantastic thing. And the main flavor is it's matcha, and it's the highest possible grade matcha. It's organic ceremonial grade matcha grown in Japan. That is only from the first harvest every year. How about that? It's good stuff. And listen, for a limited time, you can get 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your first time purchase with the code RTR20 at checkout. And you can claim it at www.magicmind.com/RTR20. That stands for Run the Riot 20. And use the code RTR20 at checkout. man, I use Magic Mind. I think it could help you too.
I mean, I want to say that I was like anxious and like ready to get going because in every other race I've experienced, like once the gun goes off or air horn or whatever, the nerves usually go away. Like once we're going, I'm usually
Yeah.
okay. But hindsight and like looking at things that didn't go perfectly, if that like was all just a result of being nervous or like having nerves, I'm gonna say I must have been pretty nervous in the shoot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, once you get there, I don't know, you can feel the weight of like, man, I did all this training and there's excitement, but there's also like, all right, I want to execute properly. I after doing all this and getting ready, like, so like there's the nervousness, and then you got people there to support you and help you, and sometimes, I don't know, we can put pressure on ourselves. So I've had all the mixed emotions that at the beginning of a race too. But I found lately, I don't know, you can just I can quiet myself down and just be in the moment and like, all right, let's just take what the race gives me and go. Were you able to kind of just finally like settle down, you think, and go, or you were just kind of worried about getting through all those people?
Yeah, the people,
It was
they
so
were there
peoply.
for 9. It was so peoply. It was so peoply for the first 9 miles. And I was trying not to like be stupid. Like, but when I came through the aid station, like Jake and my brother Joe, they were just on it. Like they had my bottles ready to switch out, like they had my goos ready to switch out or my gels. So I really didn't hang around the nature center. They swapped it out really quick, gave me my jacket, my vest back, and then I just took off. And I was like, man, like maybe everyone else seemed to stay. Like maybe I did something wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just start questioning yourself. But after the nature center on the first loop, it was so much better. Like just space wise, like I actually got to choose what pace I was running at. Because
Yeah.
you're kind of at the mercy of the herd at
Yeah.
the beginning. After the nature center, the first time I was just like, okay, like I think I can work with this. That did like that space gave me a little bit of calm for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's a reminder. So I was interviewing the podcast that's going to come out before this one. I was interviewing the lady, and she's not really, she just wants to get it done. And so they hang out at aid stations, which is fine. It's just different goals. But like, and I told you, with your training, your fitness and all, like I knew you were capable of crushing doing really well. And so, to find that balance in your first 100 to as your coach to tell you to push, but not too much, like you got to feel it out because you're going to get in some deep water. So it's hard. And so I'm watching, I'm out doing my training runs and everything. And I'm watching to see what you're doing. And you were doing really well those first few loops. You were top 3, then 4th girl, and so you were doing well. So once you kind of hit your stride after that, how were you feeling? Did you feel like you were like, okay, now I'm in my element, now I'm doing well? Did you just kind of autopilot, and then were you able to just do that, get autopilot and just kind of go for a while?
Yeah, for probably like the second half of the first loop and the whole second loop. The second loop was fun. I mean, like honestly, I had space. I don't know. I knew that I kind of had an idea of like not who people were, but like, oh, that's the girl in the blue hat. She's from California. And like, we've been kind of doing this back and forth thing. So you kind of like get your bearings and kind of get a little bit more confident and like, it's okay that I'm here. Like, it's okay that, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like
I was constantly like, am I at a 5 RPE? Is this a 5?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's to find that, like, to check in with your body, but not stress over it too much, like just try to,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I'm good. So, you're cruising through the first couple loops. And so when did you said the first loop 2 was really good. What was different with loop 3? Cause loop 3, that's your, during loop 3, you're going to hit your halfway point, and when you finish it, you're more than halfway. So how was that? What was up with that?
I've said this jokingly, and I am joking, but I keep saying like I must have suffered a traumatic event in loop 3, and my mind just blocked it out because I really don't remember. Like I remember loop 3. I remember things that happened. like you sent a text message that I could hear. Jake sent a text message. I remember like hearing text messages that I knew had to be sent on loop 3 because that's the only time I had headphones in. I remember getting passed by a couple of girls on loop 3 that I had kind of seen around. Like I remember instances of loop 3, and it, like you can tell by just like watching that things started to fall south in loop 3. Kind of. I mean, not terribly, but kind of. And loop 3 is going to have to be when my knee kind of started acting up. Because I do remember having the thought, running uphill hurt less than running downhill. Running uphill was kind of easier to do than running downhill, but that is not trail runner-esque. It's not trail runner etiquette. They're usually hiking uphill and running downhill. So I was like torn between like, I know uphill is less impact. I know something funny is going on because there is between the nature center and Damnation, the second and third aid stations. I can't say it was really hilly, but like it's the hilliest part of the course, and it feels much more uphill than downhill. And I remember kind of walking, knowing that I was walking too much, like just being well aware that I needed to not be walking so much that early. So whenever I got to the aid station, I did finally. My GPS was really messed up, so I knew my paces were off and I knew my mileage was off, but I just went ahead and did, like, I just walked 0.1 and ran 0.4. And then I think my crew could tell that I wasn't moving very good when I came in at loop 3 because I said, I need a run walk scenario. And that's when I got to pick up Sarah. Sarah paced me for the 4th loop. And my brother immediately like commandeered her phone, and they just met that day, I think, and set up like a workout on her watch that it would beep every minute and every 3 minutes. So we went out that way, like walking a minute and running 3 minutes. And that worked pretty well for the first 9 miles, like between Raven and between the nature center. And then Sarah took a bit of a tumble, a hard tumble. She caught her tree root. But
those
luckily
roots,
it was like
man.
they were bad. It was right before the nature center. Like I was like, if we can get her up and going, then we will make it to the nature center because it's right there. But once we like got her headlamp and stuff gathered up, she was fine. It was just, knock the wind out of you. But after that, it got a little bit hairy because I think we were both, because of that, both a little bit more timid of the tree roots in the dark because it was night by then. And then, so we were still doing the run walk thing, but way less productively than we were the first 9 miles. And then I remember on the later half of her loop, suggesting that I was walking faster than I was running. And she was like, no, you're doing great. Like she's being my like biggest cheerleader. And I said, Sarah, there's a guy behind me that's been walking the whole time and he's still right there. Like we're not, I don't think that this is going that well. And so, I mean, I was just kind of shuffling at that point. So we that was kind of how we ended that loop, was just kind of walk run as best we could.
Yeah, and we couldn't, and you never, like your knee, you never really figured out like what caused it, because you didn't have knee issues in training or anything. It was just something weird that happened. If you maybe kicked a root, or stepped down funny. You said one time you did that, but you didn't feel anything when it happened. So it's kind of that's one of those, I don't know, like you plan for things, we planned for a lot of things, but we didn't say, okay, if your knee starts to swell up or hurt, but you just have to figure it out and deal with it. You talked a little bit when we kind of unpacked the race about the frustration of your knee, because you felt physically like you could run, but your knee wasn't letting you bend well to keep running.
Yeah. So like, I think hindsight, there's quite a few things about the races that were just total opposite of like what I was prepared for, whether that be like something I heard someone else say or I don't know. But I think I was so mentally like braced for pain. Like I was like, this is going to hurt, like it can't not hurt. But like the instance of like just being immobile like that, because I can't tell you, my knee hurt when I sat down And when I stood up, walking, it really didn't hurt. Like I could walk relatively pain-free, but it wouldn't bend. And you can't really run
Can't
without
bend your
bending
knee.
your knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just kind of like, well, I can walk pretty good. And I even remember on the last loop thinking like, my fitness is pretty good because like like even if you're walking, I was like, I felt fine. Like I had energy. I'm not saying I wasn't tired. I was tired, but I was just like, I
Considering the
sure
miles
wish
you
I
had.
could run right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think this is a good time to get Jake in here and get his take on on how you were doing. Let's if he's ready.
Yeah, he's been waiting.
Yes.
He can't wait. You might just want to go
Get
on.
over.
What's going on, man?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Good, good. Well, so you're watching all of this unfold, and you and I chatted ahead of time and everything. And so, what was your, I don't know, what were your thoughts? Because we texted a little bit, and you said, "Man, she's quiet." And so, what was you? I don't know, what were you picturing, seeing in her, watching the progression as she's getting these loops done? Did you know she was having that much trouble?
Yeah, I could tell she was having trouble. Yeah, I didn't know if it was like a motivation issue or like a pain thing. But when I found out it was pain, I knew that, I don't know. I just knew she was going to get it done, but it just depended on how quick she was going to get it done.
Yeah. So were you now? I know, you've trained and you've done all things. You've run a bunch and everything else. Did you think you were going to end up doing a whole 20-mile loop?
Man, no, I didn't want to. Man, I was hoping it would be her brother, but her brother's injured. So I'm glad it was me though. I had fun doing it with her, even though we weren't really together. I mean, I was ahead of her. Just trying to make her keep her pace. But yeah, it was a good experience.
So for everybody listening, you jumped in on that last loop, and you knew she was having knee trouble, and there was no doubt, and she even said that there was no doubt she was going to get it done. But looking at time and everything else, one of our goals was, and I know she was capable. You and I talked ahead of time, like she was capable of like 22 hours, but definitely 24 hours was within her capability. And you're looking at the clock, she slowed down. And you start calculating. Tell me about that conversation with her and what you did to get her in.
And it was hard because I don't like to see her cry. I knew I was gonna have to see her cry, but yeah. So once she got done crying, I just asked her like if you want to do this in under 24 hours, if you really want to, we got to get to moving. And then she said she did, and then I gave her a minute more, and I asked her again, and she said she wanted to get it done in 24. So I've never worn a watch before while running, but I could kind of figure the thing out a little bit. And I knew that we had to keep this certain pace to even get close. And luckily we got her done. So,
nice.
I don't know. I could hear her back there making noises and crying and saying ouch and stuff, but she kept moving and got it done.
So yeah, no, it was great. And she was singing your praises. Like, she's like, I can't believe he did that, and she was glad you did because, and when you're in that state, and I've been there before too, when you just have somebody to cling on to, when you don't have to think, all you have to do is move. And she said that she just knew she needed to keep you, stick with you, and she'd fall back and she'd jog back up. But you were the pace setter, man. You were the metronome to get her to. How were you after, without, because you weren't out there running and training, man. How did you feel after power hiking 20 miles out there, man?
Man, I felt okay. It's very similar. The feeling afterwards was to the stuff I used to do. Like, I don't know, to me, just like the high and then the adrenaline dump and then just being exhausted. Yeah, I felt fine. I couldn't have done it for myself, but I could easily do it for her, so.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How did it? We'll talk to her in a second on how it felt. But how did it feel? You watching her go through the pain. You saw her crying and going through all that, and then when she crossed that finish line and got sub 24. How did you feel seeing her accomplish that? And you've seen all the training she's put, we talked about it. He's like, man, she's fit. She put in work. Like she earned that sucker. And how did you feel, as her husband, seeing her do that?
I mean, I had no doubt that she would get it done, but like it was still amazing, you know. Like, I mean, I teared up, and I still tear up when I think about it, you know, because the pain. I mean, man, you've seen her training. I mean, you're the one that designed it, so I mean, she kicks its butt. In all honesty, like every day. So while I'm still sitting there drinking my coffee, she's out doing her thing, you know. But yeah, it was amazing. I had to walk away because I would have started crying like a big old baby. So I walked away for a minute and then came back and told her good job.
You don't want to be ugly crying in the pictures, right?
That's one thing I regret. We didn't document it very good. I wish we would have documented it a little better, you know. But in the heat of the moment, we were just all happy, you know, so tired. We were all so tired, just cracking funny jokes. It was a good time. I'm ready for it to do it again, man. I had fun. So
I like it. That's good. Well, it sounds like you did a great job taking care of her, but also like pushing her, you know, pushing her to do, because you knew what she was capable of. And sometimes, you know, with people we love, we don't want to see them hurt. Like you said, man, you don't want to see that, but you know what she's capable of, and you know that she'll be proud of pushing. And so good job, man. Good job pushing her and helping her to achieve that. Yeah. So we need to scoot her in here too, so we can get her take on it. I don't know if we can get both of y'all in there.
You let her get in there. She's prettier than me.
Yeah, well, that's true. But so Jen, like, okay, so, you know, you and I talked, and you basically tried to hang on to him. You yo-yoed, like, you know, he would get ahead, and he just set the pace, and you'd run up and you know, catch him. When did you, you said I mean, even after that last aid station before the finish, like you still weren't sure you were going to be able to get that sub 24, because it was pushing it.
Yeah, because at the last aid station, the math got a lot easier to where I could catch up with where his brain had been at with 20 miles left. But yeah, I started kind of figuring, and I knew if we got to the last aid station at 4:15, that it was totally doable. Like, okay, as long as you're there by 4:15, which seemed doable at the time.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be okay. Well, we got there at like 4:20 something. 4:22, 4:20. You know, not a ton. Like, if you were driving up in your car, you wouldn't be really late, but it's late on foot. 7 minutes was a lot of time for me then. And that's whenever I was just like, okay. But he kept saying the whole 20 miles, he was like, you're going to have to run a little bit. You're going to have to run a little bit. Eventually, you're going to have to run a little bit. So he would yell when it got smoother, and he was like, all right, this is this spot we need to run. There was it really, like, in comparison to mileage, it probably wouldn't have helped a ton, but like there's a lot of bridges. So anytime we crossed a bridge, I ran. And some of them are pretty long, some of them are pretty short, but it was like safe and stable. I knew that I wasn't gonna have to pick my knee up like super high to get over a road or something. But he did keep reminding me. I remember mostly the end is looking for the sky, because we were just in the tree. Like, it was so woodsy, like there's just trees and trees and trees. And I was like, when I can see the sky, like I have to run. Like, I have to run until I cross the finish line. Like, once the trees break and I can see the sky. But that felt like it took forever. I was like, I'm never going to see the sky again.
Please, sky. Yeah. And I think you said that was like the last, I don't know, mile or something like that, or where it opened up, or was that it?
Yeah,
or?
Maybe not even a whole mile. But even then, like on the trail, I just kept looking up because I felt like I could see that. You know, when you look down or look ahead, all you can see is like black. So I just kept looking up to see if I could see stars in the distance. But
so how sweet did that arch look when you finally, you know, broke and you can see it? How sweet was that?
I heard you like fake cry for a second as we were running, like sniffle.
I was probably just like, I don't think I cried again until I quit moving.
When those guys passed us at the very end and said, you're going to be under sub 24, girl, or something like that.
There were two guys like at the very, I was mustering up my strength. They're like, I think they said something like,
you got sub 24, let's go.
Yeah, they're like, if you want to get a sub 24, let's go. And I was like, okay, please drag me with you. No, I did. It was perfect timing for them. In hindsight, I was like, I can't even believe I just let those two people pass me right there at the end. But then it just was so irrelevant then. Like it was just me and the clock. Like that's really all I cared about.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second, because you said at one point when we were talking that you were just like, okay, I'm just going to get it done. But then you found that competitive drive to beat the clock,
and that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I don't think so. No, like at mile 80, is that what you're talking about? Like when I was back at the aid station?
Yeah, I think it was mile 80 when you were just gonna like, I'm gonna take a nap. And
yeah, I don't know if you did. Somebody asked me if I ever thought about quitting. I was like, I did not think about quitting, but I sure did think about taking a prolonged break.
Yeah.
And this is something which you kind of actually warned me about this before the race. The guy on the loop 4, the guy that was walking behind me and I was running and not getting any further away from him, he kept saying his goal was to get sub 24 and he wasn't going to get it. And like he kept saying that over and over. And I was like, dude, I'm going to get a sub 24 and we're in the same spot right now. Yeah. Because I knew Sarah and I were going to get back by midnight and that was going to give me 6 hours to do a loop. And that's pretty slow, but doable.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then the issue was I sat down at mile 80. I sat down to change clothes and to eat some ramen. And I really didn't know, because at this point, like, I know I've said it, but my knee didn't really hurt. It just didn't want to move. Right. Really, the most pain I felt was standing up from eating ramen noodles. That was the pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did think about taking, because at my lady, I was like, well, we're probably not going to make sub 24 anymore. So if we can't make sub 24, we're just doing it to finish. And I think it was a 32-hour cutoff. So I had plenty of time. But I'm really grateful that I did. I'm grateful I did it because once I stopped moving, my knee got so big.
Yeah.
When I started walking with you at that pace that we started, I did not want to walk that 20 miles at that pace. She was walking so slow. So.
Yeah.
But once I got going, I could go.
Yeah, I was worried he was going to take a 10-hour loop, honestly. So you got her done.
Teamwork, man. That's good. Teamwork to make the dream work. That's good stuff. Yeah. So part of the relief of the finish line is like, I did it. I accomplished it. I achieved my goal, but also I don't have to run anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got it done. You got the buckle, you achieved the big goal, all that work and everything that you put into it. And so when we talked on Monday, that was soon after, it sounded like you were proud of what you did, but it still hadn't sunk in that, you're one of the small percentage of people that have run 100 miles. So has it sunk in a little bit more? Have you been, I know you went back to work and they asked questions and everything else. And I don't know, are you still like kind of, I don't know what I do.
Initially, I was going to say no, it still hasn't sunk in. But I did sit down and because after I talked to you Monday, I think I even said I don't remember so much. And then I would randomly remember things. And so I did sit down and just vomit everything I could remember, really, in no particular order.
Yeah.
And that kind of really put into perspective, I really did do 5 loops. I really did go around that circle 5 times. And then when the pictures came out, I was able to see I remember running with that person like that. And I'm wearing a long sleeve. So that was loop 1 and kind of put the pieces. Does that make sense? Because I knew I had these happenings, but I wasn't sure when they happened. So then when the pictures came out, I was like, okay, I did that in loop 1 or just stuff like that. So that has helped to kind of make it real.
Yeah, it becomes a big blur, and I shared with you, I've gone back and read race reports and I was like, oh, I totally forgot that happened. I don't even remember that, and so I'm glad you wrote some things down. That's good that you can, for your own memory, for when you go back to remembering your first of, I don't know how many 100 milers. So, so you did it, you accomplished this big goal and I'm proud of you. Like I said, you're a pleasure to to coach. Thank you for trusting me in coaching you. It's been fun. Where are your thoughts right now? Like long term, as far as, running, do you think you want to do that again, or have different goals, or like where's your thought process right now?
For sure want to do it again. I had already kind of made that. Even like when that race kind of started going downhill, I was like, well, I don't hate my life right now. So I guess I just gonna have to try again. I don't know. I for sure want to do it again.
Nice. Well, and I share this with you, and Jake, I'm sure will agree. Like if let's just say, like if your knee hadn't bothered you, you can always say the ifs, like, but you have a lot of potential in you, and you really can go out and do well in a 100-miler, and I would love to see you get out there and, have the race. You finished it and it's awesome, great achievement, but have the full race that your fitness can show up, and it'd be awesome to see you do that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, I hope.
Nice. But right now, take a break, let your knee heal. How is your knee, by the way? It's, we're a week out. Is it 100? I mean, it's probably not 100%, but how's it doing?
It will bend all the way. Like it will achieve a full range of motion. Sometimes I have to sometimes there's a little bit of resistance, but I still can't really handle like pressure against it, like topical pressure, like pushing not like anything on top of it. So,
okay.
But I really think, and as quickly as it's made strides like day to day, I really don't think it will take that much longer.
Nice. Jake, this hadn't sparked something in you to want to go run 100 miles, man?
Yeah, man, I'd try one. I'd like to try one.
I knowing what you've done, the things you've done previously and the things you're involved in, I could see you, doing something like that, man. So anyway, that's cool. Hey, what about a couple's 100-miler? That'd be awesome.
We ain't running together.
Why not?
Either that, or you might have to take turns and crew each other.
Sure. I want to see her do one, and then her brother, and then I'll give one a shot.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it's been awesome. It's been a fun journey, and I was glad to be a part of it. But good job, and I look forward to seeing what you're gonna do next.
Yeah, I am hoping you'll help me figure it out.
All right, yeah, we can do it.
Okay.
All right, well, we're gonna close out this podcast, and any big lesson or any profound thought you want to leave people listening right now? Somebody who might be training for their first. I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to have anything, but.
Well, like I really feel like what made me most nervous before was like not knowing what to be nervous about.
Okay.
And that is a lot of what I experienced. Like everything I experienced was nowhere on my radar of things that might happen. So that's probably not a very encouraging thing to say, but I mean, I guess it's just okay. It's okay that you don't know because you haven't done it yet.
And that's part of the allure. You can't prepare for everything, and the unknown, like you can do everything right and still not finish because something can happen. It's hard. It's a hard thing, and that's part of the allure. But you find out about yourself. That was not on our radar. You were going to deal with a knee issue, but we found out that Jen can push through and figure it out and not give up and still get it done. And so you troubleshoot and do it. That's good. So on that note, we're just going to close this out and tell everybody bye. All right. Take care.